But there were particularly for the Bhil and Raia community, there were only male dyes, there was not nothing in female dyes. Dyes are still existing even in urban areas, but now they are coming for massage, not for delivery. Normally in the families, women coming for massage are those women who were coming dyed or their daughter-in-laws. And just one information, KSY, 2 years rigorous work we did in strong testing to ensure that institutional deliveries are taking place. We could encourage almost 80% to receive action related from government hospitals, on the 30 to 35% got related plus the CSCs, whatever CSCs were not included. So they were close to either primary, private hospitals or
just now before coming here, I've done some study on the live communities, and there the 90% women at the old home delivery, and with only out of them only 20% are having the registration because they don't get time and they are not informed also. They are not actually informed and they are not behaved properly. So they are out of the scene. So as the Mira is saying about the scientists, their skill, actually the system, the whole system is very much what I can say, very much not the dependable system. Because the guys are from the community, they are very much familiar with the language and the culture. So the women and they are very much available. So women are very much comfortable with them to share their problems also. And as they are affordable and they are very much available in the community, so their skills should be upgraded. This is our. I also agree with Mira, and we are also thinking of Thai Sangathan also. And I wanted that this kind of the discussion should be a large among us also. A kind of good discussion should occur there, but which is not.
Regarding Salenta, I just want to emphasize the significance of this case. I mean, I work happening here, and so I kind of get to see what's happening elsewhere as well. So based on that, I'd like to point out that there are, I don't think there's any other country out there where this kind of systematic litigation on maternal mortality and morbidity is taking place. So in that sense, the work that HRLN is doing and that other groups have been, are supporting in different ways is unique and absolutely phenomenal. And I'd like to say that this Salenta case is also probably one of, I can't even say one of few, because I believe that it would probably be the only case that is being litigated where there has been involvement from the very beginning of an NGO, and honestly, based on how I've seen the case evolve and develop, I mean, I still remember the day 2 years ago in Colin's office when Colin and Abhijit sat down and went through the facts of the case. In fact, Abhijit unpacking it from a medical perspective and really pinpointing every single systematic lapse and failure that occurred. And then you had Colin sort of responding to that from a legal perspective and saying, okay, well, this is where we can, assign some, claim some kind of liability. And so it was just a fascinating process. So the way in which this case is evolved, in many respects, is a model case, and that makes it even more important to save this case from disappearing or failing. So now, leading to my question, I mean, you pointed out that this case has been issued notice about 31 times. I mean, that I find to be a shocking, just very shocking and very surprising, and also very troubling in terms of what does it say then about the legal system that we, are interacting with here? Is it really just about not having a good judge, or are there some other, factors that led to this situation. Like upon reflection, maybe Colin or some of the lawyers from HR, and I'm just very interested. And then my second question regarding the selected cases, it's very exciting to hear that there is a Raia book now with a new judge coming on. So I think it's important for us to think about what kind of legal advocacy is going to be needed on the side to support this case and make sure that it moves forward. So I'd like to hear some comments maybe from the HR on that, or others, Vishal, and maybe others who may have some ideas. Then my other question or comment is regarding adolescents and some of the issues that they face. Anupa pointed out a number of issues, but I'd like to provide an example of a case that we're actually working on to work that helps highlight reproductive rights issues of adolescents. And it basically involved a girl who was about 16 years old, who was subjected to sexual harassment by the vice principal of her school for a prolonged period of time before she became pregnant. After she became pregnant, she went to a counselor in her school, a doctor who, I'm not sure exactly how the system in Ecuador works, but she did have access to a health provider there, and she basically wanted to terminate her pregnancy because she was very scared about telling anyone.
I think there are some obligations. See, so what we all are saying here are about non-state actors providing, sex education, whatever form, either in the community or through helplines or whatever else. But I'm going to request Dr. Sivanti Ghosh to just throw a little light on this, because as far as I understand, under the policies of the government, the RCH2, the state is bound to be disseminating information on sex education, on sexual and reproductive health rights, and I think she has been doing something on that, and that's like where there is an obligation on the state very clearly. So there we can very clearly use maybe the Right to Information Act to first get data on what kind of material have they been providing, have they been providing any sex education interventions or not, whether they have analyzed the impact of that kind of intervention or not, and of course we can then build a case on that. I request Dr. Ramesh.
But this adolescent reproductive and sexual health strategy of NRHM, they have come up with certain package of services for adolescents at different levels of the health facilities, but it's kind of a very much of a facility-based strategy that I would say, because with my own experience in the civil society and in the field, there is a kind of a dominance of facility-based strategies to address the adolescent issue, and it definitely doesn't bring into the community-based or the empowering approach of working with adolescents and their families and the community in which they are located. But in one way they are responsible for rolling out this strategy and developing the implementation plans at different states. And with my experience in West Bengal state, it has been quite a slow process of the state starting to roll out these services, and that too they start with the facility-based approach rather than focusing on the education and giving them that space where adolescents can voice their concerns. And similarly in MP, that's the same thing that I'm facing. We wanted to have a kind of a mixed approach, but it's still tending to be more facility-based and to some extent community-based approach, with but that too more focusing with anemia control by through distributing the IFA tablets rather not, there is a challenge with working with adolescents. It's very much human intensive. You need to be working with the girls and the boys, create the spaces for them, whether it's at home or in the community or in the school or in the system. It takes time, but I would say that when we go back to the government, we need to see what they have chalked out. There are certain things written out very well. That's not getting fully implemented, and try to have more of a rational approach and getting in this perspective also when we are looking at more facility or medicalized interventions. Often we don't need specialists or doctors to handle the adolescents at the clinics. They need more of counseling and psychosocial support. So these nuances or these perspectives also need to be built into what NRHM is doing. And some states are partnering with NGOs to roll this out, but some states do have inhibitions with partnering with NGOs to roll this out. So I think we have a lot of work, and the health department has one particular focus which I think we should take into cognizance. Whenever they talk of adolescent girl and their rights, they try to think of her as a future mother only, and they think of preventing early marriage. Only one consequence is known to them, that's early pregnancy. And so now for our future mothers, we have to have some kind of health education. They don't go beyond this myopic vision of working with adolescent girls.
However, their reservation was against using the word sexual and reproductive health, because they said anytime this word comes up, parents and teachers sort of, pair up at the antenna goes up, say they were planning to introduce it under or propose it under something like life skills education or something like that. But to be more elaborate, Foxy also runs some programs, and I know he's an MD, where doctors go, or one doctor goes to a school to conduct orientation sessions pretty regularly. So that is
in that case, the outstandingness of all this case is that it was just not a legal way, but it was very sympathetically handled. And I think ensuring that she gets the surgery done, and even if it's, I think, the comprehensiveness and the support that she got, because it encouraged many others to come forward. And I think even if, basing on this case, other cases of vesico with vaginal vesica and other obstetric vesicas, from the network feedback, if you know any case, any report, then I think many, and it is too dramatic, because this complication is something it touches the guts of everybody. And I think if maternal and many other things can improve, because as I said, I think, and I really, really congratulate all the people about it. Second thing about, I personally believe that, if there are so many deaths taking place with accidents, and simple first aid of tying it to neatly is not taught. And you see that sexual and reproductive health in isolation. Without first aid in an endemic area, so many malaria deaths. So the basic health education in school, there used to be health, hygiene, first aid, nutrition, some. And when sex education and all comes as a part of it, it is very happily accepted by everybody. When it is alone, what happens? The tail is bigger than the non-existent dog. There is no dog. There is only